So Fiona and her malcontents are finally under proper authority. That's an excellent beginning, my dear. We will have to discuss how to administrate this new acid. Cullen doesn't have enough Templars to handle incidents. Some of the rank and file need to be trained.
Train our people, but keep it a secret. Let the mages think they're not being watched.
I like the way you think, darling. I'll have a word with Cullen. We are reliant on his people, absolutely. There has never been a greater threat to mages than the breach. Until it is closed, no one is safe.
When you say mages are a danger, are you counting yourself?
Of course I am, my dear. Every mage who joins the cause is taking a calculated risk, whether they know it or not. Magic is dangerous, just as fire is dangerous. Anyone who forgets this truth gets burned.
I don't think the mages of the Imperium would agree with you.
Drunkards rarely agree that they ought to stop drinking. I wouldn't use them as role models. Do you know how young mages are found? A little girl has a nightmare, and in her sleep, she burns her house down. A teenage boy has a fit, and lightning rips his mother to pieces. Imagine your own childhood and what would have happened if the darkest corner of your heart had a will of its own. People don't learn the fear of magic at Chantry services, my dear. They learn it from us. Tell me something. You said once that you wanted to change things. What future would you build for mages?
The circle has to be restored if we want to keep the peace.
That's comforting to hear, but you'll find opposition to the idea even among friends. It's something to consider, my dear. I always have time for you, my dear.
Is there anything I can do to help your efforts at restoring the circle?
After the... I've received news that some tomes have been... Inquisitor, what can I do for you, darling? Inquisitor, what can I do for you, darling? I always have time for you, my dear. Of course. What... Rather than dissolve... I could name myself... The same is true of... And mages need the... Perhaps two... So long as they had their freedom, we would have done better. A war... Anyone who did not... My dear, did you need me for something? Of course. Personal. Inquisitor, what can I do for you, darling? Whatever would you like to know? I was sent to the Ostwick when the position of enchant... Marriage is the business... In such troubled times... I always have time for you, my dear. Whatever would you like? When the position... Marriage is the business of alliance. She passed away from a fever... I always have time for you, my dear.
Your enchanter Vivienne lives well.
She remains... I hear the mages will now answer to the Inquisition. And when you no longer need them, will they be locked up and forgotten again? Most would treat their dogs with more kindness.
You don't support my decision.
The circles don't work. We've seen it. I wanted the Inquisition to find a better way.
In Redcliffe, you sacrificed yourself so that I could return here.
Of course I did. One small life in exchange for a second chance at history. I always loved a bargain.
You were condemned to a lightless dungeon.
And I would do it again. They seem grateful.